Thank you for joining us for another informative, educational, and entertaining edition of Music and Medicine with Dr. Charles Modlin, kidney transplant surgeon, board-certified urologist, public speaker, and well-known community national leader for the elimination of health disparities, dedicated to informing you, the listening audience, about important health topics and health information that you, your family, and your community need to know, while at the same time providing you with quality entertainment, because music and entertainment is medicine. Dr. Modlin's co-hosts are Jerome Brown and registered nurse Jonathan Branch, and the program often includes special content expert guests. So, without further ado, here is the host of the show, Dr. Charles Modlin.
Hey, how's everybody doing this evening? I wanted to actually show everybody in the listening audience my shirt. It says Unsalted, Lake Michigan. I spend a lot of time, not a lot of time, but every summer I spend 4 or 5 days up in the great state of Michigan because I just love Lake Michigan. I went to college and medical school in Chicago, right on the shores of Lake Michigan. I remember when I was probably about 6 or 8 years old, my mother used to take us up to Chicago when she took her Girl Scout and Brownie troops up there for a visit. And that's when I really was first introduced to the Great Lakes. And I love the Great Lakes. And there's a reason I'm talking about this because we have a very important topic that is rarely discussed. Everybody knows that I spend a lot of time investigating, researching, doing a lot of work, community outreach, and trying to intervene to address health inequities and health disparities that disproportionately afflict people of color and communities of color. And there's a remarkable disparity that exists. And again, it is very seldomly spoken about. And that is the disparity that we see, especially in African-American youth, and that relates to fatal drowning. And I read some articles, and I'm just going to cite some statistics that highlight how much of a disparity and a problem and a tragedy this is, especially for the Black community. So the fatal drowning rate of African-American children between the ages of 5 to 14 is almost 3 times as high as that of white children in the same age range. In swimming pools, African-American children die. The ages 5 to 19 die at 5.5 times higher rates than those of whites. And there's data from the Centers for Disease Control that notes that the disparity is most stark among kids ages 11 to 12. In that age group, African-Americans, again, between the ages of 11 and 12, are 10 times more likely to drown than their white counterparts. So why is that? And we're going to get into this discussion. A lot of it has to do with discrimination that has occurred in this country, dating back centuries, to where the history of the American swimming pool did not allow equal access for people of color to go frequent swimming pools, and thereby many people of color, African Americans, Blacks in particular, were not afforded opportunities to learn how to swim, and that culture persisted for many decades, and it's been passed down generation to generation, whereby it's evidence says when parents don't know how to swim, their children don't know how to swim. In many instances, typically in a Black family, you hear, don't go near the water, stay away from the water. And so a lot of parents who don't know how to swim are passing that fear down to their children. So again, this is a very important topic. I know the summer is winding down, but there's still opportunities to not only children, but adults also to learn how to swim. And so with that being said, we actually have two very special guest this evening for Music and Medicine. We have Coach Andre Morton. He's the founder and CEO of a swimming organization called Rhythm and Stroke LLC, and we're going to go into detail in terms of what that is. We're going to talk about his background, how he got into doing what he is doing. I had an opportunity to meet Coach Morton a couple years ago, and we're also going to talk with Cleveland Walton Jr., who is a retired science and swim teacher, swim coach at the East Tech High School. And he's got a remarkable, interesting history that he's going to relate to you, the listening audience. So we're really pleased that you've tuned in. There's opportunity for you to tell other people to tune in now. We will be broadcasting this program after the initial airing, so you'll have additional opportunities to tell people to tune in. This show can actually save your life. So with that in mind, I first wanted to bring in our two co-hosts, Jerome Brown and Jonathan Branch. Are you guys there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I heard you just got out of the swimming pool yourself, both you guys. Is that right?
No. By no means. I mean, this topic, first of all, hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. This topic hits home to me because I didn't have my first swimming lesson until I was in my 30s, maybe even later, because some of these disparities applied to me when I was a youth in Richmond, Virginia. We didn't have a neighborhood pool probably until I was in high school, and it was in a different neighborhood, and the people whose neighborhood the pools were in were not very welcoming to us. So there was and like you said, Dr. Modlin, parents not knowing how to swim and a fear of water, which I had up until my early 40s, are definitely a factor in learning how to swim and surviving when you're in the water. So this topic hits home.
It really does. Yes.
Yeah, and just like you, John, I'm in the same situation.
Yeah.
The time frame is different, of course, though. But I didn't learn how to swim. Don't know how to swim now.
Yeah.
So we'll be looking forward to finding some information about that, so I can get in the water. I love water, but we only had one. We only had one neighborhood pool.
Right.
We didn't have enough lifeguards, and kids in the neighborhood peed in the pool. So I was like, I'm not going. You go in the pool. I'm not going in the pool. You know.
I'll tell you what.
Here we go.
Yeah, I read something. You know, I touched on this in the introduction, but it says swimming pools were widely accessible in the 1920s, but only to white people.
Right.
And I'm quoting the article. America's dark history of segregated public pools has had a lasting effect on the Black community. In the 1960s, white violence against Blacks at public pools served as a deterrent, along with race and class barriers that made it challenging for African Americans to learn to swim. So, I mean, like you guys say, it's affected you. It affects many of our youth today. You drive around the city, not only Cleveland, whether it's Chicago, New York, I mean, you don't often see swimming pools. And also a lot of times you hear that schools are closing their swimming pools, especially in Black communities. There's a certain amount of upkeep that's required, to keep these pools open as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Doc.
So, why don't we go ahead, and I'd like to welcome to the broadcast Coach Andre Morton. Andre, Coach, are you there?
Yes, how y'all doing? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
How are you?
Yeah, thank you. So,
what's up, man?
Yeah.
What's happening?
So you ought to see some pictures of this guy on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Okay.
He's what you call he's got a six-pack. he's the paragon of health, fitness.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I try to keep in shape as best as I can.
So, Coach, why don't you tell it what is your organization, Rhythm and Stroke? What is that?
Well, basically, mainly Rhythm and Stroke LLC it's a swimming organization, but I also do circuit training in the water as well. But the biggest focus that I do have is swimming. So I teach all levels from beginner to intermediate to advanced. And the most important piece of all of that is water safety. I always tell people, one of my mottos is, I say, the rhythm part of it is, say, I'm the man that's going to help you put the rhythm in your stroke, because anything you do in the water is good to be able to do it, but we want to do it with some rhythm and style so that you can become one with the water.
Absolutely.
The water safety piece, a lot of people, another one of my sayings is, ain't no sense of looking pretty swimming and you're going to drown.
Right.
So what I mean by that is, I've heard a lot of people, they get taught how to swim. So I can teach you how to move your arms the right way and legs and kick, and you be able to get across the pool. However, a lot of stories that I hear happen, but let's say you get across the pool and then next thing you know, you get tired, you catch a cramp, you choke on some water, and you're in the deep water and you don't know what to do. And that happens a lot. And that's because people don't get taught the survival skills. I remember one of you guys mentioned that earlier. That's why I wanted to key in on that. The survival skills, which is also water safety skills that you need to be able to survive in the water. So it's not just about swimming. You have to be able to save yourself. And then also you all talk, I remember you mentioned about the lifeguard situation. As far as, now in the nation, there's a lifeguard shortage, due to COVID. So there's a lot of issues that are taking place right now that would also keep people away from swimming. However, but my organizations like myself, and there are other instructors like myself who are out here doing great work to continually encourage. So Rhythm and Stroke, we encourage everyone, but especially those in our community where the disparity is so high as far as those who do not know how to swim. But water safety is the main key. There are some key things, whether you are around, if you're going to a lake or a river or a swimming pool, that you just need to know, as far as something as simple as having something around you that floats. So if a person gets in trouble in the water, something that floats can help them. But if you do not know how to swim yourself, 9 times out of 10, if you get in there and you try to help a person out and you don't know what you're doing and that water's deep, it could be 2 or 3 people that have drowned at that point. Yeah. So this is what I focus on. And anybody that comes to me for instruction, especially adults, I teach children and I teach adults. Let me say this for the adults. One of the reasons why I'm not tooting my own horn, but I'm good at what I do because I'm passionate about what I do, and especially for adults, is I'm the kind of instructor, I walk you through the steps. A lot of adults have been through fear or trauma, or like you said, the pool, when you were younger and you knew kids was peeing in the pool and you said, I'm not getting in that pool anymore. Right.
Absolutely.
Or you went to there were environments, the pool might have been accessible, but the people weren't very welcoming. Right. So whatever those reasons are, those traumas, some people have been thrown in the water. I address that. I have my own methodology, my way of addressing that to get a person comfortable in the water. We deal with that trauma up front, right? And then we move forward. So initially, it's not about swimming. It's about getting you comfortable in a place mentally and physically where you can feel comfortable enough to relax your mind. And then the process of learning to swim can begin. So at Rhythm and Stroke, that's what I focus on, getting you comfortable, getting you relaxed, because nothing good can happen in the water if those things aren't taking place first. And so I started in 2014, Rhythm and Stroke. I got my LLC, and I began. I have to say this also. I've always taught swimming before that period of time, but my wife, who's my wife now, she wasn't my wife early on at the time, but she was the one that encouraged me to take my skill set to the next level and created a business. So I have to give her all props and praise, every time I come on, because without her, I would not be here right now.
Smart man.
Yes, thank you.
Very smart.
Well, I think you should toot your own horn and your wife's, because a student coming to you, whether it's a parent bringing their child or they themselves as an adult, they want a coach who they know is competent and confident in their abilities to teach them. I actually credit my father. He would take myself and my siblings up to the YMCA for swimming lessons. Mm-hmm. And I remember him actually, he had me get on his back at the Baker swimming pool, Newcastle, Indiana. And he would take us out to the deep end, which was 5 feet. And he would have us hold on, and then he would dunk us, we'd be holding on to his back. Hey, Russell, there's a picture that I wanted to show everybody, the audience. Coach. What if that little boy came to you and wanted to learn? Would you teach that little boy how to swim? Or does he look totally unteachable?
Oh no, he looks very teachable. Okay. Very teachable. Oh yeah, I'd be ready.
Yeah, that was me. Probably, I don't know. I must have been 8 years old or so. I forget, 7, 6, 7, 8 years old.
Hey, he had them hoochie daddy shorts on, didn't he? You brought them back. I know where they came from now. Okay. You brought them back. Doc, I better not see you outside the hospital with some of them, man. I call police on you.
But I'll tell you what, I remember one of the first lessons they taught us was to take a deep breath, and then you roll up in it like in a ball. You grab your knees. Is that a technique that you teach, Coach?
No, I don't.
Learn how to float.
I don't teach that one, but I know that one. So there's many different instructors use different skills. I don't use that one, but that one does work. It still works. So I just know various different ways. Now I would use that if what I currently teach is not working. Okay. So that's why I always tell people I know multiple ways to get to the goal. So that is a good one. No doubt about it. It's just that, I don't tend to use that. There's nowadays, and there's a lot of tools, there's noodles, there's kickboards, there's barbells. They even make different kind of flotational devices that you can use to help people learn how to float also. But so in a situation like that, I probably would be a little more hands-on with the student and helping them learn how to swim. But like I said, I have used that before. I just don't use it very often, but it does work. It does. So
quick question, and Jerome, Jonathan, I don't know what you all think about this, Coach. Uh-huh. How do we change the mindset? I mean, again, there are some parents out there themselves, like we mentioned, who don't know how to swim, and they pass that fear, that definitely fear, along to their children, not even encouraging them that it's something that they should learn. How do we change that mindset, that culture, and that we see so often in the Black community?
John, you want to take that on?
As far as how do we get rid of the fear? Well, I think, I mean, and Coach would know this better than me, but I think it's exposure. People, the kids have to be exposed to the water and exposed to people who actually know how to swim. Like I said, and my question to the coach would be, like, I had a definitely fear of water. Well, it was a pretty bad fear of water up until probably my early 40s. How do you teach someone to overcome that? Just to even get into the water.
Yeah, well, so one of the things that I use now, because I'm not in a big size swimming pool, but I use a swim spa. It's like 15 feet long, about 7.5 feet wide. So it's definitely big enough to teach any and all levels of swimming, except for there's no deep water. However, so one of my approaches when I'm bringing a person to our swim spas, I say, it's less intimidating than a pool. So that's one thing, right?
Yeah.
But if I was in a pool setting, I would just use a little different strategy. But what I have right now, it's less intimidating than a pool. The water's on like 4.5 feet, so you don't have to worry about standing up. But the main thing that I always tell a person, I always talk to them about, what the trauma is. Why haven't you been in the water for this many years? And then as we speak about that, and then as I bring a person into the water, I let them know, listen, the first thing we got to do is we got to make sure that you are as relaxed. So I actually take a person through some breathing exercises in the water. I say, and then another thing I tell a person is, don't get at this level, don't get hung up on what you can see, but it's more about what you can feel. So I'll take you through some breathing exercises, and in some of those exercises, I'll actually have you close your eyes so that you can feel what your body is doing, how it's moving through the water, how the water is pushing against you, right? So we're not doing any major movements like that. With some people, I have to do a little bit more of that than others. But usually, it doesn't take me too long. Once I get you in a relaxing position, then I explain to you the steps. It's very important, especially with adults or a person dealing with a lot of fear, that you explain to them what we're doing, how to do it, and then the why. If there's any questions on why we're doing what we're doing, I need to be able to explain that to you. And as long as I walk you through the steps, the process. So that's the one way that I help a person alleviate that fear. I got to speak to the fear. But then once I get you in the water, it's you and the water have to become one. So we will not move forward until we figure out a way for that to happen. And I'm always able to make it happen. It just may take a little longer with some than others. But once you feel relaxed in the mind and the body, good things will start to happen. And so that's my approach.
All right.
Excellent.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's the way. It's about awareness. Again, our kids are scared because the parents have been scared. They don't swim. And then you go all the way back to grandma and great grandpa. They're going to tell you, hey, man, we came in on boats. I ain't going to get in the water because we came on a boat. And that's the last time I was on a boat. So it's that, and then it becomes a rolling joke amongst generation to generation, the same joke. We ain't seen slavery in 200-something years. I think it's about time we start learning how to swim. Just in case we got to get back on that boat.
Right.
It is a joke. I mean, that's a great point, Jerome, because I hear all the time that in the Black community, we don't swim, and then people they laugh about it. But again, for anybody just tuning in, we're speaking with Coach Andre Morton. He's the CEO of Rhythm and Stroke LLC, and I just wanted to reiterate, we're talking about disparities with respect to fatal drownings that are most stark amongst African-American children, ages 5 to 14. The rate of fatal drowning is three times greater than that is seen in whites. And the biggest disparity, most stark, is amongst Black kids ages 11 and 12 who have fatal drowning episodes 10 times more often than their white adolescent counterparts. So, I mean, this is a serious subject.
It is.
Coach, I know you identify and you relate very well to children. I wanted you to tell us, and I saw an interview that you did, I think, with Delon Dillard on Channel 5, and they talked about you have an alter ego. Is that true? Can we show that picture of Splash?
Yes. Oh, please do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah. That's allowed you to better relate and identify it to children.
It looks like Stephon Marbury.
Yeah.
I wish he had his money. Yeah, that's my alter ego. So that's Splash. So my wife and I, we have created a children's book, which is another way. So everything that we're talking about tonight, and you were saying, like, how do we change the narrative? How do we shift that cultural, our paradigm, to where we value swimming more.
Very smart.
So my wife, so we said, all right, let's create a children's book, because there are books out there with, that people, that African Americans that swimming in water safety. Splash, in this sense, I haven't seen it yet, is a water safety. He's a hero of the water. And there's other characters. There's a supernatural character that's based off of my wife. She got real big hair because we wanted to overemphasize. We know a lot of our women still are hung up on the hair issue. So supernatural, she's not afraid to get her hair wet, and we wanted to emphasize that. There's two other figures. One is Typhoon. He is so when a child is in trouble in the water, or if they're drowning, Typhoon, which is more like an elemental, he sends signals to Splash that help, you need to come on because a child is drowning. So you need to come in and help out in that situation. And then there's Antagony. Antagony is an evil figure who doesn't want children to learn how to swim, who would prefer that children drown, and does everything in his possibility to make sure that happens. So this is our little universe called Splash and Friends. But Splash, my alter ego, he's always looking for ways to spread the good news about water safety, why it's important for children to learn to swim, to keep encouraging parents if they go to hotel pools where there's no lifeguards, making sure that, that somebody's watching the kids, that an adult is watching the children, all of these types of things. This is what Splash does. And the children's book is actually based on a 3D animation that we did. It's available if you go on YouTube and you type in Splash and Friends. It's on YouTube. Yep.
Okay.
Nice.
I'm going to check that out. I'm going to refer that YouTube site to a number of individuals. I see literally tens of thousands of patients every year in my weekly clinics and our Minority Men's Health Fair. This is the type of education that needs to be disseminated to the parents of children, the grandparents. Teachers need to. These are educational tools that are available to our teachers. Who interact with our children on a daily basis. You talked about situations where there's no lifeguards, and I actually read up on some of the pool safety tips that you mentioned. Never swim alone. Make sure there's somebody with you. This is a big one. It says teach your kids to stay away from drains. I remember when I was young, we would actually intentionally dive down to swim down next to the drain, kind of play around along there. The drain. The drains are very dangerous, from what I understand.
Yeah, they are. I've seen if you go on YouTube, I remember a year or two ago I was watching a water swim video, and the kid, he got too close to a drain, and I don't know if it was the pump or whatever, but he got stuck there. And people had to, and he was submerged underwater, and people were coming trying to pull him up, but the drain he was stuck, so there was a suction going on there. I can't remember if he lived or not, but I know it was a pretty bad situation. So like just staying away from those drains. They're there for a purpose, but especially if the pump system or whatever is helping release that water, something happens, get backed up, or the suction is moving the wrong way, you can get stuck, and that's not a good place to be. So staying away from the drains is very important.
Yeah, Jonathan, you're an RN, you're a nurse.
Yes.
And you definitely can attest to the importance of everybody learning CPR.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah,
most definitely. Yeah. Well, in my profession, that's a requirement. Where I work, that's a requirement to learn CPR.
The other thing, Jerome, that the coach mentioned that I forgot, I was going to mention, but I forgot. A lot of girls. I have 3 girls, and when they come of age, like the coach says, they don't want to get their hair messed up. They don't want to get their hair wet.
Yeah.
Swimming is one of the most healthiest physical activities that you can, engage in, and it's a shame. I don't know what can be done about that.
Ooh, that's a tough one, because you asking them to give up their weave, man. We can get the guys swimming before we can get the girls to swim again.
Yeah,
because of that right there,
Yeah.
And it's one thing that's important for everybody too is a lot of these swim or people that don't know how to swim, let's say it like that, are ashamed of their bodies, coach. So do you offer private lessons, like people that are obese, for instance, people that have skin conditions, for instance? Those are a lot of those people are people that fall in the category of, oh no, they won't even stick their foot in the water. So what do you say to a person that may
That's a
be
good point.
afraid because of how they may look or they think they look to someone else?
Well, yeah, fortunately, very good question. The way I'm set up now, I do private sessions. COVID forced us to make a pivot move. So I do offer private sessions. So a person like that, I would let them know, hey, you're going to be in an environment where it's just going to be you and I, one-on-one in the instruction. There won't be anyone else around. The area where you can put your clothes down and change in is private area. So I do have that. At this point, I didn't have that before, so it would be a different strategy. I would actually more so have a phone conversation with the person and just try to explain to them, get them as comfortable as possible, knowing that I have their best interests at heart, and that the focus is going to be on them learning, and that even though there would be other people around, my focus is going to be on them, and so that as long as our focus is on each other, hopefully that would be something calming to a person. So I have had to deal with that both ways, but right now the way I'm set up, yes, I can do private sessions, so it would just be me and the person, so nobody else they wouldn't have to worry about nobody looking at them or anything like that. And then just real quick, I would like to what you said about when I have female clients, which I do have a lot of them. If the hair is an issue or somebody has an issue with the hair, I refer them to YouTube. If you go on YouTube and you type in Black women swimming, there are literally hundreds of videos with all the Black women talking about every hairstyle in the book and what you can do, how to treat your hair, what to do to it when you want to go swimming. Every hairstyle there's a Black woman on YouTube talking about what you can do to protect your hair when you go in the water, what to do with it after. So, that didn't exist some years ago, but now because of social media and people getting more, and valuing a little bit more about the swimming, that exists now. So that's a plus. That's something. So I don't talk to women. I want to leave that to women to discuss with women because it's such a sensitive topic. Yeah. But I refer them to those videos, and it has helped.
That's a great resource, and that's powerful information that I wasn't aware of. And we're going to refer girls and women to those YouTube resources. Jonathan and Jerome, I think we have to let the coach go. I think you have to give some swimming lessons this evening.
I have one more question before he goes.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you teach a person to swim with shoes on? Because typically, when you fall in the water, you have shoes on. Mm-hmm. So are you taught to kick those off, or are you taught to swim with shoes on?
Man, that's a very good question. So, normally when you come to the pool, you're not, unless they're water shoes, shoes that are made for the water, you can bring them on. Now, when you teach, like, I know infant survival rescue skills, they'll have, once you get a child to a certain point, they'll have clothes on and shoes on and put them in the water, but they're clean. So I haven't taught anybody yet with an adult with shoes on other than water shoes, but I'm glad you brought that up, because that is something now I'm gonna think about how I would institute that in some of my training. Like, a person gets in trouble in the water, they're going to have their clothes on.
Yeah. Survival
skill. So, but most pools that you go to, they probably not going to let you have your tennis shoes on unless you explain, what you're doing. If they're water shoes, that's cool. But normally they wouldn't let you just have your outside shoes on.
It's just something interesting to address in the future. That's all.
Oh, no. I remember in 8th grade, we went through those exercises. We had to get in with our clothes on, and we had to take our shirts, pants off, and everything, and actually reconfigure them for like a buoy. I don't remember exactly how we did it, but
in the Army, they taught us drown proofing and how to make our uniform a flotation device.
Yeah.
Most people floated. I panicked, but I survived.
Okay.
Well, Coach, we just wanted to thank you. And again, I mean, this is life-saving information that you presented, and we really appreciate having you on. We like to invite you back again, to Music and Medicine at some point. But we know you have other children and adults to educate and teach how to swim. So thank you again for being with us.
How do they reach you if they want to reach you, Coach?
Oh, yes. You can rhythmandstroke.com is our website. I'm also, if anybody's on Facebook, it's Rhythm and Stroke LLC. I'm on Facebook, on Instagram and TikTok, Rhythm and Stroke. So the people that I work with, I post a lot of the videos of people that I'm training, swimming lessons, as well as the circuit training on all of those platforms. My email address is rhythmandstroke.llc@yahoo.com. But like I said, if you go to the website and you can reach out to me there. I do have a business phone number, which is 216-309-2782, 216-309-2782. But so between that and my email and the website, those are the best ways to get in touch with me. But if you want to see also what I do, the people that I work with, the people that I serve, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Just look at Rhythm and Stroke, and you'll see us there.
Nice.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Coach.
So we want to welcome to the platform now also Mr. Cleveland Walton Jr., East Tech retired science teacher, swim coach. I believe you coach track and field as well, football, if I'm not mistaken, several sports. So welcome, Cleveland, to the broadcast. Can you tell us a little bit about your background in swimming and coaching?
Okay, let me start off by saying Coach was very thorough in how you basically teach students or individuals how to become acquainted with the water. The most important thing that I and he and anyone that's a swim professional have to teach to people how to be comfortable in the water. Most people are afraid of the water. When I was a young kid living on 40th and Scoville, our pool was we called it POC, but it was Portland Outway Recreation Center. And we didn't basically have any teaching of what to do once you got into the facility and got into the water. It was one of the largest pools in the state of Ohio, and it was located in the heart of what we call the ghetto, if you want to use that term. Very few of us had any swim gear, and if any, those that had it was really a pat on the back, say, "Where can I get some of that?" But anyway, you have to basically get acquainted with the water, and most people are afraid and have a right to be afraid of the water. When I was getting my certification, I was really more so in college, but I was swimming before that. I was never really afraid of the water. I would always duck myself up under the water and blow out bubbles and come back up, or just hold my breath as long as I could and just come back up. Of course, it wasn't in deep water, but that was how I got used to utilizing or becoming comfortable in the water, and eventually was able to move from the 3 or 4 feet up to the 5 feet and feeling like really I've done something. But basically that is one of the steps of learning how to become acquainted with the water. That is one of the techniques that they utilize in when you were at the Red Cross, where I was actually trained as a water safety instructor. That's a WSI. For any professional to deal with swimming or teaching swimming, they must receive a certification with Red Cross with water safety instructor. And you have to go through a mountain of different situations to get that certification.
Across the world, we have the same fears, the same struggles. So You know, you can be in Jamaica. You know, it doesn't matter. We have to get over that by education, which we are doing now. So again, Cleveland, we appreciate you coming on. You know.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Yeah. Learned a lot. Yeah.
It's a very enjoyable activity. It's something that you could do all your life, and you don't have to worry about hurting or doing something that would cause you to drown, because if you learn correctly, you know what to do in different situations. And the best thing is, if somebody's in the water and you don't know how to get them out, don't go in there, because all they're going to do is they're going to pull you down. You're going to have to get an extension and put it out there to them, so they can grab hold to it, so you can pull them in. But if you go out there thinking that you're going to go out there and hold them and bring them in, unless you're really trained in doing that, it's going to be like more bodies in the water than it's supposed to be, or should be. So that's about it. I said, I had some pictures of the team. I don't know if this is going to come up like you want. That was our championship team at East Tech. The first year we was in that competition at the School of Science. We also came in second in the city with a different set of kids. These kids, we won the butterfly. We won the backstroke. We came in second in the 200 meters. And my girls came in. We had the boys took the medley relay, and the girls came in second in the medley relay. And people say, how did they do that? Because we were together. We was a team, and we worked hard. So it's a great. That was one of the better accomplishments in my coaching career, when coaching a swim team, not a basketball team, which I was known for basketball, and they came so highly in the competition. And it was at a big arena, because the city meet was always at the natatorium at Cleveland State. And when the guy that taught me as much as he did, he was always the main figure. Wally was always the main figure. And when my team won, I was tried to stay in the background, and he'd say, and they're coached by Cleveland Walton. Cleve, come on up here. I said, no, Wally. He said, no, come up here, man. You did a good job. Come on up here and take a bow here. So I get up there, and the kids clutter around me, and I like, wow, Dad, I wasn't expecting this in swimming.
Well, what they're supposed to do, they're supposed to throw you in the pool, is what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, well, they weren't gonna do that.
But yeah, we've unfortunately we have to close the show out. But no, we really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
As well as Coach Andre Morton, Splash.
Yes.
You know, Coach, you need to get an alter ego yourself. You know, cartoon figure as well.
No.
You know,
No.
My alter ego is CLEDELA. Everybody know that already, so I don't need that. I'm glad there's more people out there that's doing it too, but I'm glad that he's out there and he's making a business out of it. So
yeah, he's making an impact. Yeah. So, you know, Jerome, you know, any closing thoughts?
Yeah. Closing thought for me is that I'm going to take up swimming lessons with Andre.
Excellent.
So I tell you, these shows, no matter what, some of these relate to me, and the ones that relate to me make me a better person. So that's why I love music and medicine, man. It's awesome.
And we love you being a part of it. Jonathan, any closing remarks, thoughts?
Well, sort of piggybacking off of Jerome, I need to tighten up my swimming game myself. I'm in a neighborhood now where we have about 17 pools, so I really have no excuse at all. But,
backstroke, breaststroke, front stroke, left stroke.
And of course, we love, my wife and I love going on cruises, and we love going down to the island. So we do need to tighten up on our swimming games, but
you enjoy it.
We still love water.
There you go.
Water.
So with that in mind, I wanted to thank Russell Johnson, the producer of this program, Music and Medicine, and K-Hawk 2 Productions, Ken Johnson, Debbie Massa, the team. So thanks everybody for joining in. We're going to have several more programs this year. we're going to be having one program, I know, on monkeypox. We're going to be talking about sickle cell anemia. We have a program coming up on stroke prevention. So stay tuned. Plenty more important shows coming your way. So have a good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
All
Good night.
right.
Thanks a lot for having
Good
me.
night.
Peace.